Regular guy here. So I've got kind of a fun video for you today. So I've wanted to put together a long-range rifle that's lightweight. All of my rifles are really heavy, more of a bench rest, bull barrel, things like that. So I wanted to put something together that's really lightweight, and I've been hesitant to do this because it just kind of freaks me out. You know, I'm very traditional, I guess, but I've been reading a lot about Christensen arms and the carbon fiber rifles, carbon fiber barrels, things like that. And then finally I went ahead and did it. So this video, I'm going to do two different videos, I think. The first one is going to be to set up the rifle, how I go through and how I set up a rifle. And I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts, I guess, as I open this and my impressions with it. And then the second video, we're going to go on site, and we're going to sight it in. We're going to go through and we're going to tailor a load. So I'll kind of show you what I go through to select what powder, how many grains of powder, you know, all different things that I'm going to create an accuracy load. And then we're going to build a come-up sheet. So basically it'll give me all of my dope, or all of my data for all different lengths and yardages and conditions and elevations and things like that. So the first video, we're just going to go through and we're going to take a look at this. Now to set this up, I'm going to go through, I guess, real quick and show you what I'm going to put on it. So I've got a Viper PST. This scope has the Horus reticle. If you're not familiar with that, basically what it is it's a reticle that has all of your data, and it's got a little Christmas tree looking reticle inside that gives me a lot of windage. It's all in mil-radians or MRADs. So we're going to mount this scope up. And then we've got a couple of scope cap covers. The mount that I've chose for this build is going to be a LaRue tactical mount. This is the CAN SPR mount. We're going to put that together. And then I've got a muzzle brake. We're going to switch the muzzle brake that's on and out so that it can accept a suppressor. And then, as always, we're going to put a little bubble level on the scope. So anyway, let's get to this rifle. So this is, like I said, this is the Christensen arms. Oh, it's pretty too. This is kind of their modern sporting rifle. So it's, as you can see, it's got some nice carbon fiber hardware. But the thing that really sets it apart is this carbon fiber barrel. And the thing is crazy lightweight. So this is in 6.5 Creedmore, which is probably my favorite long range, just good little round. Yeah, I'm impressed. This thing looks nice. This is kind of cool too. It's got a folding stock. And my eye was really drawn to this for that, because I can put this in a pack if I'm out hunting or whatever. Super nice. I like the way that folding stock captures that bolt too. That is sweet. So I don't know if you can see that, but the way that the stock folds over and captures that bolt, I like that. All adjustable cheek piece, adjustable length of the stock. That is super nice. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start our build on this. Here we are a little closer up. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start my scope mounting process. So the first thing is I've got this LaRue base. And what's kind of cool about these is it's got these cool little throw levers. And one thing that they do claim is an absolute zero. So they've built these things kind of with the military and law enforcement in mind, so that maybe you have one rifle that you're switching multiple optics, whether it's a thermal or a night vision or a long range scope or whatever. They want to be able to pull an optic off, put a new one on, and maintain those zeros. Typically when I set up a rifle, I'm going to set it up one way, and I'm not going to switch things out like that, but I love the capability, I love the precision that's an option. This LaRue mount is one of the cool new ones too, that's got these tensioner devices. So I can tension how much tension I want in these throw rings, and it's got a nice little click. I hope you can hear that. That's putting tension on those throw levers. The other thing that I'm going to do is, you notice on a Weaver rail it'll always slide back and forth. So I'm always going to slide my scope forward to the forwardmost position and lock it in place. This has also got a cool little lock that won't allow that to open back up. The reason why we always go forward is because the rifle is going to want to recoil, and we don't want that scope to be moved around. We want it to be, I don't know how to explain this, but when we recoil, we're already up against that and there's nowhere for the scope to move. So we're set there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start to install the rings. And I'm going to check the straightness. I always do this. I've never had to do anything with a LaRue mount as far as like lapping or anything like that. They're actually really super precise, but I'm always going to go through and just check it. So let's put these screws in. In fact, you know what? I'll go through and set this up, and then I'll bring you back super close up so you can see this. So as you can see here, this has got these two, I don't know what you'd call it, alignment tools. So what I can do is I can put those in, and I want a perfect point to each other. So I'm going to take this all back apart. I think I'll put that other piece in, spin it, just see what we get. And I'll show you that, and then we'll mount the scope up. We're ready to run this. And again, I already set this up and put a little bit of the lapping compound on it, which is a really fine grit. And basically we're just going to spin this. I think that'll be about good. Let's see how close we were. Okay. Clean this greasy stuff off of here. Put that away. Now we'll go ahead and pull these rings. Now, one thing that I do probably want to mention right at this point, so now I'm pulling these rings, but I want to make sure that they go back in the exact same position that we're pulling them from. But I do want to take a peek at this and see how we did. And I'll show you that. Okay, so as you can see, we did run just, God, hardly anything came off. It didn't even really take the finish off. A little bit right at this edge came off. It looks like kind of the same thing right, that little corner right there. But I guess the bonus with that is I know that that's an absolute perfectly smooth, straight mount for the scope. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to clean these all up, and then I'm going to get the scope mounted up. One thing in mounting the scope is I'll always come through and I'm going to get behind it. I'm going to adjust my length of pull, and then I'm going to look at the scope, and I'm going to take the scope and I'm going to slide it forward as I'm looking through it until I start to see a dark halo from the outsides creeping in. As soon as I detect that, I'm going to stop. I'm going to make a little pencil mark, and I'm going to come back the other way. And as soon as I start to see that again, I'm going to make another mark. And then I'm going to go between those two marks, and that's where I'm going to mount my scope. That way I know I'm in the center of that eye relief. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to show you this. This was a perfect example of how that lapping started to take some of the material off of there. The other ring was another perfect example of just a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to go through and mount that scope up. Okay, so I've made my little marks. So I know where, so I can slide this scope back and forth. So I know where I want to mount it, and I actually want to mount it right there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I want to go through my leveling process. So I'm going to level the rifle, and I can do different things. I can put a level. I like to go off that rail. That's the best place to do it. So that looks really good right there. I can also mount up some levels like on the barrel, so I can kind of see that at a glance. This is a big old frapping barrel here. That carbon fiber is so cool. The thing that's important about leveling is if you're canting the gun one way or another when you're shooting, it really makes a difference, especially at long range. So this is incredibly important to be super precise with. Okay. Right there. That looks really good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is now we need to level the scope. We need, or rather the crosshairs in the scope. So you can level right off the turret, and that's going to get you pretty close. Most of the scope companies are really pretty precise in that, but I found something that I like to do even a little bit better. So I'm going to set this gun up, and I've got this little gazebo out in our backyard, and I've put a level on one of the legs, and it's perfectly plumb. So what I can do is I can set this rifle up, level the rifle, and then I'm going to look through the scope and rotate my scope so that the crosshair is perfectly intersecting that leg on that gazebo. That way I know that my crosshair inside is the same, and I don't have to rely on just the turrets. The turrets are really pretty close, and most scope companies have very tight tolerances, but I want to go that extra step and just make absolutely certain that it's straight up and down. The last thing that I'm going to do, once I get done with that, I'm going to lock it down, and these particular rings we're going to go through and we're going to lock the bottom screws first, and we do them to 30 inch-pounds, and then we do the top screws 30 inch-pounds. And then I'm going to install this little bubble level. So that way, at a glance, when I'm behind, and I'm going to put it on the back side of where all my turrets are at, so that I can look over and I can see right across here and see my level. It'll be mounted down about like that. So I can see if I'm leveling the gun, but I still have everything available that I can see it. So I'm going to go through and do that. I'm going to level my scope, and then I'll bring you back at that point. We've got a little bubble level installed. I've also put a new muzzle brake on it so that I can put one of my suppressors on it. And we've installed a Vickers VTAC sling. I think this is the best sling out there. Anyway, watch for the next video. The next video is going to go through shooting it. We're going to tailor a load. We're going to shoot it through a magneto, see how fast it's going. We can start to build up our come-up sheets, and I'll kind of show you my process through that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, putting this together. I can't wait to get it out and see how she does. As with everything, thanks for watching my videos. I really love shooting. I love the culture out there. I think that we need to start doing it better, though. I think we need to start being more polite. We need to clean up after ourselves. We need to be excited about our sport. I think we're getting a bad rap, and it's kind of sad. This is something that I love to do, and I want to carry on. I want to have my children do it. So anyway, hope you enjoyed. Stay safe out there. Happy shooting, and I'll see you on the next one.